The doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a hiss that echoed through the massive hall. Doyun Kim stepped inside first, his black diplomatic uniform crisp against the bright lights overhead. Behind him walked Hana Park in her military dress uniform, and Dr. Minho Choi carrying a data tablet clutched against his chest. The chamber was enormous. 23 different alien species sat in their designated sections, arranged in a circle around a central platform. Some looked like insects with too many legs. Others resembled plants that somehow learned to move. A few could have been mistaken for rocks if they didn't breathe. Their translators hummed softly, creating a background noise that never quite stopped. Doyun had been to this chamber 3 times before. Each time he felt small. The ceiling stretched up so high he couldn't see the top. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. This place was designed to make visitors feel insignificant. It worked. "The human delegation will approach the center platform," a voice announced. The translator made it sound flat and emotionless, but Doyun could hear the disdain underneath. They walked to the center. Their footsteps clicked on the polished floor. Doyun noticed that none of the alien species made eye contact with them. That was new. That was bad. A creature that looked like a massive praying mantis stood up from the highest seat. Its exoskeleton was deep purple, almost black. This was the Vrexian Hierarch, the current leader of the council. It had held that position for 70 years. Humans had only known about aliens for 15 years. "We have called you here to discuss a matter of grave importance," the Hierarch said. Its mandibles clicked as it spoke, and the translator turned the clicks into words. "The Galactic Council has completed its evaluation of humanity." Doyun felt Hana tense beside him. He kept his face neutral. "Show nothing. Give them nothing. We have observed your species since you achieved faster-than-light travel," the Hierarch continued. "We have watched your expansion. We have studied your behavior. We have reached a conclusion." The chamber fell completely silent. Even the translators seemed to quiet down. "Humanity is dangerous," Doyun waited. "There would be more. There was always more. You expand too quickly. You build weapons first and ask questions later. You reverse engineer our technology without permission. You defend your colonies with a level of violence that other species find disturbing." The Hierarch's 4 eyes fixed on Doyun. "Most concerning. You do not follow the established patterns of civilized behavior. Could you be more specific?" Doyun asked. His voice stayed calm. A different alien stood up. This one looked almost human except for the gray skin and completely black eyes. It was a Mindari, one of the telepathic species. "Your military tactics are brutal. When pirates attacked your colony on Epsilon Tyrannus, you did not simply defend. You tracked them back to their base and destroyed it completely. You left no survivors." "They attacked civilians," Hana said, her voice hard. "They killed 300 colonists, including children." "That does not justify genocide," the Mindari replied. "It wasn't genocide," Hana shot back. "It was justice." Doyun put a hand on her arm. "Not now." "Not yet." The Hierarch raised one of its blade-like arms. "This proves our point. Humanity does not understand restraint. You escalate conflicts instead of seeking peaceful resolutions. You treat every threat as if it were an existential danger." "In our experience, threats usually are dangerous," Doyun said. "We learned that lesson a long time ago." "Yes," the Hierarch said. "We have studied your history. Your species has been at war with itself for thousands of years. You have invented weapons specifically designed to kill each other. You have used those weapons. You have nearly destroyed yourselves multiple times," Minho finally spoke up. "We survived, though." "That should count for something." "It counts against you," the Hierarch said. "It proves you are unstable, aggressive, unpredictable. The Council cannot allow such a species to continue expanding unchecked." "Here it comes," Doyun thought. "The real reason for this meeting. Therefore, the Galactic Council offers humanity 3 options." The Hierarch's voice grew louder. "First, you may submit to Council oversight. You will cease all independent colonization efforts. You will allow Council observers on all human worlds. You will not develop new military technology without Council approval. You will integrate into galactic society properly." Doyun felt his stomach tighten. "That was slavery with extra steps, sir. Second, you may choose isolation. Humanity will retreat to your home system. You will remain there for 500 standard years. During that time, you will be allowed to develop at your own pace. After 500 years, you may request re-evaluation. 500 years. That was longer than the United States had existed. That was longer than most human governments lasted. Third, if you refuse both options, the Council will have no choice but to take military action. 23 species will combine their fleets. We will force compliance. We will do what is necessary to protect galactic peace. There it was. Submit, hide, or die. You're threatening war, Hana said. We are offering peace, the hierarch corrected. You simply must accept the terms. Doyen looked around the chamber. Some of the aliens looked uncomfortable. A few seemed eager, as if they wanted humanity to refuse. Most just looked impassive, like this was routine business. How long do we have to decide? Doyen asked. 30 standard days, the hierarch said. That is more than generous. Oh, species are given less, I see. Doyen paused. His mind was racing, but he forced himself to think slowly, carefully. Ambassador Hierarch, I request 48 hours before that 30-day period begins. I need to consult with Earth before we begin formal deliberations. The hierarch's mandibles clicked rapidly. Annoyance, maybe, or amusement. That is irregular, please, Doyen said. 48 hours is nothing compared to 30 days. Let me at least inform my government properly. The hierarch consulted with several other council members. They communicated in rapid clicks, chirps, and whistles that the translators couldn't quite keep up with. Finally, the hierarch turned back to Doyen. Very well. You have 48 hours. And then the 30-day countdown begins. Use your time wisely, human. This decision will determine your species' future. Thank you, Doyen said. He bowed slightly, then turned to leave. As they walked back toward the exit, Hana leaned close and whispered, That was a death sentence dressed up as diplomacy. I know, Doyen whispered back. Minho was looking at his tablet, his fingers swiping rapidly. There's something else. While they were talking, I was pulling up Council military positions from the public database. And? Doyen asked. And Council warships are positioned all around human space. They're already in attack formation. They've been in position for weeks. Doyen felt cold. They made this decision before we even got here. Looks like it, Minho said. They reached their ship in silence. It was small compared to the massive Council vessels docked nearby, but it was fast and it was human. Right now, that meant everything. As they boarded, Hana looked back at the Council station. They think we'll submit. They think we'll roll over because they have bigger ships and more guns. Probably, Doyen agreed. What are we going to do? Minho asked. Doyen strapped into his seat as the pilot began undocking procedures. Through the viewport, he could see the Council station growing smaller. Beyond it, stars stretched out in every direction. Somewhere out there was Earth, home, humanity. We're going to ask Earth what they want to do, Doyen said. Then we're going to respect their decision, whatever it is. Even if it means war? Hana asked. Even then, Doyen said. The ship jumped to faster than light speed and the Council station disappeared behind them. Ahead lay Earth, and a choice that would change everything. In the Council chamber, the hierarch watched the human ship vanish from sensors. They will submit, it said to the other Council members. They have no choice. But one of the older species, an ancient observer that rarely spoke, made a sound like wind through dead trees. Perhaps we have finally made a terrible mistake. The hierarch dismissed the comment. Humans were small, weak, new to the galaxy. They would learn their place, they had to. The emergency session began 6 hours after Doyen's ship landed in Geneva. Every major government had sent representatives. Military leaders sat on one side of the room. Diplomats sat on the other. Scientists and advisors filled the spaces between. The room was packed and everyone was talking at once. Prime Minister Jiwan Lee called the meeting to order. She was a small woman with iron-gray hair and a voice that could cut through steel. Quiet, everyone sit down and shut up. We have work to do. The room fell silent. Ambassador Kim, please brief everyone on what happened at the Council. Doyen stood and walked to the podium. He brought up a holographic display showing the Council chamber. They gave us 3 options. Submit to their control, lock ourselves in the Sol system for 500 years, or face military action from 23 alien species at once. Someone in the military section laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. Those aren't options. That's a threat. Yes, Doyen agreed. A general stood up. What's their military strength? Hana took over. Superior to ours in every measurable way. They have more ships, better weapons, more experience. They've been spacefaring for thousands of years. We've been doing it for 15. So we'd lose, another general said. Probably, Hana admitted. But they'd pay for it. Explain, Ji-won said. Hana pulled up tactical displays. Their ships are better, but they're not prepared for the kind of warfare humans excel at. They fight by rules. We don't. They aim for military targets. We aim to win. If it comes to war, we might lose, but we'll make sure they never forget us. A diplomat stood up, looking horrified. You're talking about total war. Scorched earth tactics. I'm talking about survival, Hana said. Ji-won held up a hand. We're not making decisions yet. We're gathering information. Dr. Choi, you studied the Council's history. What did you find? Minho looked tired. He'd been awake for 30 hours straight, researching. I found a pattern. The Council has done this before, 17 times actually, with different species. What happened to those species? Someone asked. They all submitted, Minho said. Every single one chose Council oversight over war. And every single one of them is now basically gone. The room erupted into noise again. Ji-won slammed her hand on the desk. Explain that, Dr. Choi. Minho brought up graphs and charts. Within 50 years of submission, each species showed dramatic decreases in technological innovation. Within 100 years, they were completely dependent on Council infrastructure. Within 200 years, their original cultures were barely recognizable. They didn't die out, but they stopped being what they were. Cultural genocide, a diplomat whispered. Slow assimilation, Minho corrected. The Council doesn't destroy species. They absorb them, make them safe, make them compliant, make them forget who they used to be. An older woman in the back stood up. Her name was Hyerin Ko, and she was old enough to remember Earth's last World War. I've seen this before. Different scale, same method. Offer peace, but only if you give up everything that makes you who you are. It's conquest with a smile. But the alternative is war we can't win, a diplomat argued. Maybe, Hyerin said, but at least we die as humans. That sparked another round of arguments. Ji-won let it go for a minute, then shut it down. We have 30 days to decide. Let's use them wisely. Military. I want defense plans for every human world. Diplomats. I want analysis of potential neutral allies. Scientists. I want every experimental weapon fast-tracked. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. The meeting broke up into smaller groups. Doyen found himself standing with Hana and Minho watching the chaos. What do you think we'll choose? Minho asked. I don't know, Doyen admitted. On Mars, Colonel Taehyung Shin was running combat drills. The colony had 2 million people in exactly one military base. It wouldn't be enough if the Council came. Again, he shouted as his soldiers ran through urban combat scenarios. Faster! They have better weapons, so we need to be smarter and quicker. His second-in-command, a woman named Yuna Kwan, approached. She was an engineer, not a soldier. But she'd volunteered to help. Colonel, I've been thinking. About what? If they come, we can't fight them in space. But we can make it hell for them on the ground. Underground bunkers. Hidden weapon caches. Guerrilla tactics. We turn every colony into a maze they can't navigate. Taehyung looked at her. That's a long war. A bloody war? Yes, Yuna agreed. But it's a war we might not lose. Back on Earth, Doyun sat in his small apartment and called his daughter. Sarah was 20 years old, studying xenobiology at university. She answered on the second ring, Dad, I saw the news. Is it true? Yes, Doyun said. The Council wants us to submit or fight. Sarah was quiet for a moment. What are you going to recommend? I don't know yet. What do you think we should do? I think, Sarah said slowly, that I'd rather live free for one day than live as a slave for 100 years. But I'm young. Maybe I don't understand the stakes. You understand fine, Doyen said. You sound like your mother. Sarah's mother had died 5 years ago. Cancer. All the advanced human medicine couldn't save her. She'd spent her last days telling Doyen to never bow to anyone, never surrender what made them human. I miss her, Sarah said. Me too. They talked for another hour about nothing important. Classes, friends, the weather, normal things. When they finally said goodbye, Doyen felt both better and worse. Minho was still in his lab, reading everything he could find about the Council species. One thing kept bothering him. He pulled up the psychological profiles of different alien species. The Vrexians were hierarchical. They valued order above all else. The Mindari were telepathic. They valued harmony and shared thoughts. The rock-like Grendax valued stability and patience. Every council species had evolved in relatively safe environments. They had natural predators, sure, but nothing like Earth. Earth was a death world compared to most planets. Ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, predators everywhere. Diseases that could wipe out continents. Humanity evolved to survive the unsurvivable. That made them different. That made them dangerous. Minho wrote up his findings and sent them to Ji-won. She needed to understand this. The days passed quickly. Arguments raged in every government building. Some people wanted to submit. Better to survive as vassals than die as free people. Others wanted to fight. Better to die on your feet than live on your knees. Polls showed the population was split almost evenly. Then something changed. A video leaked online. It showed one of the council species on their homeworld. They lived in perfect cities with no crime. No war, no conflict. They also had no art, no music, no innovation. They went to their jobs, returned to their homes, and repeated the cycle endlessly. This is what they want for us, the person who leaked the video wrote. This is what submission looks like. Public opinion shifted dramatically overnight. On day 15, Ji-won called another emergency session. This time she asked for a vote. Not from the politicians, from the military leaders, from the colonists, from the scientists, from everyone. Should humanity submit to council oversight, accept isolation, or refuse both options? The vote took 6 hours. When it was done, the results were clear. 93% voted to refuse. Only 7% wanted submission or isolation. That's not just a majority, Ji-won said quietly. That's a mandate. It's also a death sentence, a diplomat said. Maybe, Ji-won agreed. But it's our choice. That matters. Doyon was called back to Geneva. Ji-won met with him privately in her office. The people have spoken, she said. Now we need to deliver their message. What message? Doyon asked, though he already knew. Tell the council that humanity declines all 3 options. We will remain free. We will continue expanding. We will defend ourselves if attacked. And we will never submit. They'll see that as a declaration of war, Doyon said. Then that's what it is, Ji-won said. She looked tired, old, but determined. I need you to write the official response. It needs to be clear, undeniable, something they'll never forget. Doyon spent 2 days writing and rewriting. He tried long explanations. He tried diplomatic language. He tried everything. Finally, he deleted it all and wrote one word. He showed it to Ji-won. She read it and smiled. It was not a kind smile. Perfect, she said. Send it. When? Doyon asked. Encrypt it with our highest security. Set it to decrypt in exactly 30 days. Let them wait. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Doyon did as ordered. He encrypted humanity's response with codes that would take the Council's best computers years to break. He set the timer for exactly 30 days from the moment the Council gave them the ultimatum. Then he sent it on every channel. Emergency frequencies, diplomatic channels, public broadcasts. Every alien species in the galaxy would receive it, but none of them could open it until humanity wanted them to. The message was sent. The die was cast. Now humanity would prepare for whatever came next. In military bases across human space, soldiers trained harder than ever. In shipyards, engineers worked around the clock building new vessels. In research labs, scientists weaponized technologies that were never meant for war. And in his small apartment, Doyon looked at a picture of his late wife and his daughter. I hope we're doing the right thing, he whispered to the empty room. Outside his window, Earth turned slowly beneath the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was receiving their encrypted message and panicking. Humanity had made its choice. The encrypted message reached the Council station exactly 1 hour after it was sent. Alarms went off in the communications center. The Vrexian hierarch was pulled from a diplomatic dinner to see it. What is this? It demanded. The human response hierarch, a technician, said. But it's encrypted. We cannot read it, then decrypt it. We've tried. The encryption is beyond anything we've seen. It will take years to break. The hierarch's mandibles clicked in anger. How long until it opens? 29 days, 17 hours, according to the timer. The hierarch stared at the message on the screen. One file, less than a kilobyte in size. But impossible to open. They're mocking us. Across the galaxy, other species received the same message. Some tried to decrypt it. All failed. The humans had sent their response, but they would reveal it on their own schedule. It was a power move. An insult. It was also brilliant. On Earth, Admiral So-Young Han stood in the command center of humanity's First Fleet. Around her, hundreds of officers worked at stations, coordinating the largest military mobilization in human history. Status report, she commanded. All ships in the Sol system are combat ready. An officer replied. Colony defense forces are at maximum readiness. Weapon platforms around Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies are online. Good. What about the experimental systems? Dr. Song says they'll be ready in 20 days. So-Young nodded. Dr. Eunji Song was their best weapons scientist. If she said 20 days, it would be ready in 15. Eunji always gave herself extra time. A junior officer approached nervously. Admiral, we're detecting increased Council fleet movements. They're positioning ships around human space. Show me. The holographic display lit up with red dots. Council warships. Hundreds of them. They formed a loose sphere around human territory. Not close enough to be an immediate threat. Close enough to attack quickly. They're getting ready, So-Young said quietly. Should we respond? The officer asked. No. Let them position themselves. Let them think they have the advantage. In the research complex beneath Geneva, Eunji worked without sleep. Her team had been given one mission: weaponize everything. Experimental drives that could turn ships into missiles, nanotech that could eat through alien hulls, biological weapons tailored to each Council species' biology. This is wrong, one of her assistants said, looking at a biological weapon profile. This would kill millions. Yes, Eunji said. She didn't look up from her work. That's the point. But we're scientists. We should be building, not destroying. Eunji finally looked at him. Her eyes were red from exhaustion. We are building. We're building a deterrent. If they see that attacking us means their own destruction, maybe they won't attack. The best weapon is one you never have to use. And if they attack anyway, then we use every weapon we have. We make sure they regret it. We make sure they never threaten another species like this again. The assistant left. He handed in his resignation that evening. Eunji didn't blame him. She wasn't sure she'd be able to live with herself either when this was over. But humanity would survive. That was all that mattered. On Mars, Yuna was supervising the construction of underground bunkers. The colony's 2 million people would need shelter if orbital bombardment started. How deep? A construction worker asked. 500 meters. Reinforced with every material we have. Stock them with 5 years of supplies. 5 years? If we're going to resist, we resist properly. No half measures. Taehyung found her 12 hours into her shift. You need to rest. So do you, Yuna shot back. Fair point. Taehyung sat down next to her on a crate. You really think we can win this? No, Yuna admitted. But I think we can make them bleed. I think we can make them afraid. That's enough, is it? Has to be. Across human space, civilian ships were evacuating. Freighters, passenger liners, and private vessels fled toward the outer colonies or deep space. Some captains chose to stay. One of them was Junho Park, who ran a small cargo ship between Earth and Mars. Central Command is offering safe passage out of the system, his co-pilot said. We should take it. No, Junho said. Why not? Because this is my home. I'm not running. You're going to get killed. Maybe. But I'll die where I belong. His co-pilot left on the next evacuation shuttle. Hunyo didn't try to stop him. Everyone had to make their own choice. On the neutral station of Crossroads, intelligence officer Jiho Nam sat in a bar and listened. Crossroads was where different species met to trade. It was neutral territory protected by ancient treaties. It was also the best place to gather intelligence. The council is nervous, a trader said, 3 tables away. He was speaking to a companion in a low voice, but Jiho had excellent hearing. Why? Humans are weak. Weak? Maybe, but crazy. You know what I heard? They have weapons that can crack planets. They tested them on their own homeworld. What kind of species does that? That's just propaganda. Maybe, but the council is moving a lot of ships. That's not propaganda. Jiho filed the information away. The council was afraid. Good. Fear might make them cautious. Caution might prevent war, or it might make them strike first. Back on the council station, Commander Thexel was reviewing human military tactics. He was a Kralix with 4 arms and a body covered in armored plates. He'd fought in 17 campaigns. He'd never lost. but he'd never fought humans before. He pulled up footage from the pirate incident that the council had mentioned. The pirates attacked a human colony, killed 300 people, then fled back to their base. The humans tracked them, sent a fleet, destroyed the entire base. No survivors, no mercy. Thexel watched the footage 3 times. The human ships moved differently than other species. They didn't follow standard tactics. They attacked from unexpected angles. They used their own ships as weapons when ammunition ran out. They fight like cornered predators, Thexel muttered to himself. He pulled up more historical data. Human conflicts. World War II, Vietnam, the Middle Eastern Wars, guerrilla tactics, suicide attacks, total war. Most species fought to win. Humans fought to destroy. There was a difference. Thexel wrote a report to the hierarch. The conclusion was simple. Military victory against humanity was possible but would cost more than anticipated. He recommended tripling the estimated fleet size. The hierarch ignored the report. On Earth, a schoolteacher named Minji Bei tried to explain the situation to her class of 7-year-olds. "Why do the aliens want to fight us?" a little girl asked. "They don't understand us," Minji said carefully. "They're scared of what they don't understand." "But we're nice," a boy protested. "We just want to explore space." "I know, sweetie. But sometimes nice isn't enough." That night, Minji went home and cried. Those children deserved to grow up in peace. Instead, they'd grow up in the shadow of war. If they grew up at all, the days counted down. 20 days left. Then 15. Then 10. Human space became a fortress. Every ship was armed. Every station had weapons. Every colony had defense plans. Civilians drilled for evacuations. Children learned to recognize attack sirens. The galaxy watched nervously. Some species admired humanity's defiance. Others thought they were insane. Most just wanted to avoid the crossfire. 5 days before the message would decrypt, something unexpected happened. 3 of the smaller council species quietly moved their fleets away from human space. They didn't announce it. They just left. "Why are they leaving?" an analyst asked So-Young. "They're hedging their bets," So-Young said. "If we win, they don't want to be on the wrong side. If we lose, they can say they were never really involved." "Do you think we can win?" So-Young looked at the tactical displays. Human forces looked impressive. But council forces outnumbered them 5-1. Maybe more. "I think we can make them wish they'd never started this," she said. "That's not the same as winning. But it'll have to do." 3 days before the message would decrypt, the council sent an official statement. They were prepared for any eventuality. They hoped humanity would choose wisdom over pride. They promised that submission would be peaceful and beneficial. Doyun read the statement and laughed bitterly. "They still think we'll fold. Should we respond?" Hana asked. "No, let the message speak for us. 2 days. 1 day." The encrypted message's timer ticked down. Every species in the galaxy was watching. Bets were being placed on what it would say. Some thought it would be a plea for mercy. Others thought it would be a declaration of submission. Only a few suspected the truth. On the final day, Doyun stood in the council chamber again. The same 23 species sat in the same positions. But this time there was tension in the air. Fear, maybe. "The human response will decrypt in 1 hour," the hierarch said. "We have called you here to receive it formally." "Understood," Doyun said. "Whatever it says, there can still be peace. Humanity can still choose the wise path." "We'll see," Doyun said. Hana and Minho stood behind him. They were all wearing their dress uniforms. Doyun had made sure of that. Whatever happened next, they would face it with dignity. The timer counted down. 60 minutes, 45, 30. Species representatives whispered to each other. The council's military prepared for immediate action if needed. Human ships across the galaxy went to battle stations. 15 minutes, 10, 5. The chamber fell completely silent. Every eye in the room was on the central display where the encrypted message waited. "No," the word appeared on every screen in the council chamber. Simple, absolute, undeniable. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then chaos erupted. "Impossible," the Rexian hierarch said. Its mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "They cannot simply refuse. That is not how this works." "They just did," Doyun said calmly. Before anyone could respond, the screens flickered. Doyun's face appeared on every display. The message had been pre-recorded, set to play exactly 30 seconds after the decryption. He'd planned this perfectly. "Members of the Galactic Council," Doyen's recorded voice said. You asked humanity to make a choice. Submit to your control, lock ourselves away for 500 years, or face your combined military might. We have considered these options carefully. We reject all of them. The council members sat frozen watching. You call us dangerous, unpredictable, aggressive. Perhaps you're right, but you need to understand why. Humanity comes from a world that tried to kill us every single day. Ice ages, plagues, predators, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts. We survived all of it. We survived because we learned one simple truth. Freedom is worth any cost. Doyen's face on the screen was calm, but his eyes were hard. You offer us peace if we submit. You offer us safety if we hide. But we've seen what happens to species that accept your terms. They stop growing. They stop innovating. They stop being themselves. You don't destroy civilizations. You just make them forget who they were. We refuse to forget. Several council species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. You have superior numbers, better weapons, more experience. We acknowledge all of this. If you attack us, we will probably lose. But probably is not the same as certainly. And even if we lose, we will make you pay a price you cannot imagine. The recording paused. Doyen's expression didn't change, but his next words were colder. Humanity invented nuclear weapons. We used them on ourselves. We created biological weapons that could kill billions. We made plans to destroy our own planet rather than let it fall to enemies. This is not a boast. This is a warning. We know how to fight total war. We know how to make victory cost more than defeat. Commander Thexel closed all four of his eyes. He'd warned them. He'd told them humans were different. So here is our counteroffer, Doyen continued. Leave us alone. Let humanity grow at its own pace. Let us explore the galaxy freely. Let us remain who we are. In return, we will not interfere with the Council. We will honor your territory. We will trade fairly with any species that wishes to trade with us. Doyen leaned forward slightly. Or you can attack us. You can bring your fleets. You can try to force compliance. And we will show you what desperation looks like. We will show you what happens when you give a species nothing to lose. We will burn. But we will burn so brightly that you'll see the flames from every corner of the galaxy. The recording ended. The screens went dark. The council chamber exploded into argument. Different species shouted at each other in dozens of languages. The translators struggled to keep up. This is unacceptable, the hierarch shouted over the noise. They mock us. They threaten us. We cannot allow this. They haven't threatened anyone. A Mindari representative said. They've simply stated their position. Their position is war, a Vrexian admiral said. No, the Mindari corrected. Their position is freedom. War is only necessary if we force it. We cannot back down, the hierarch insisted. If we allow humanity to refuse our authority, others will follow. The entire council structure will collapse. An ancient observer rose slowly. These were beings from a species so old that most others had forgotten their name. They rarely spoke. When they did, everyone listened. I have seen this before, the observer said. Its voice was like wind through caves. 20,000 years ago. Another empire. Another species that refused to submit. What happened? Someone asked. War. The empire won, technically, but 70% of their forces were destroyed. 70%. The economic cost was catastrophic. The empire collapsed within 3 generations. The galaxy entered a dark age that lasted 3,000 years. The chamber fell silent. That species lost, the observer continued, but they made victory meaningless. Is that the path you wish to take? The hierarch's mandibles clicked uncertainly. That was 20,000 years ago. Technologies have advanced. Yes, the observer agreed, which means the casualties will be worse. Not better, Commander Thexel stood up. I have analyzed human military capabilities. May I present my findings? The hierarch gestured for him to continue. Thexel brought up tactical displays. Humans do not fight like other species. They have no biological limiters preventing total war. Their history shows consistent patterns of escalation. When cornered, they do not surrender. They escalate. All species fight when cornered, a council member said. Not like this, Thexel said. He showed footage of human conflicts. They have created weapons and then used those weapons on themselves. Nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. They tested these things on their own planet, their own people. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Most concerning, Thexel continued, is their doctrine of mutually assured destruction. During their Cold War, 2 human nations built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their planet 10 times over. Both sides knew that if war started, everyone would die, and they built the weapons anyway. That's insane, someone said. Yes, Thexel agreed, but it worked. Neither side attacked, because the cost was too high. So what are you saying? The hierarch demanded. I'm saying that if we attack humanity, we need to be prepared for them to use every weapon they have, and we need to be prepared for casualties we've never experienced before. The hierarch sat back in its seat. Around the chamber, council members looked at each other nervously. A vote was called. The question was simple: proceed with military action against humanity or withdraw the ultimatum. The species voted one by one. Some voted for war. The Vrexians, the militant factions, the species that valued order above all else. But others voted against. The Mindari, the peaceful species, the traders who had friends among humans. The ancient observers abstained as they always did. But their warning hung in the air. When the count finished, the result was narrow. 53% voted to withdraw. 47% voted for war. The hierarch stood slowly. The vote is concluded. The council will withdraw its ultimatum. Humanity will be permitted to continue its expansion without council oversight. Several council members stood up in protest. This is a mistake, a Vrexian admiral said. We're showing weakness. No, the Mindari representative said. We're showing wisdom. There's a difference. The hierarch raised an arm for silence. However, be clear about this. Humanity is not forgiven. We will watch them carefully. Any aggression toward council species will be met with immediate response. They have their freedom, but they walk a narrow path. On the human delegation platform, Doyen allowed himself to breathe. They'd done it. Somehow, impossibly, they'd done it. We won, Hana whispered. We survived, Doyen corrected. That's not the same thing. The council session ended. As the human delegation left, several other species approached them. Some offered congratulations. Others offered warnings. A few offered both. The Mindari representative stopped Doyen at the door. Your speech was effective. But I must ask, were you bluffing? About what? About fighting to the last human. About total war. Was that real or was it a negotiating tactic? Doyen looked the Mindari in the eyes. We sent colony ships toward unexplored space 3 weeks ago. Dozens of them. Each one carries 100,000 people. Genetic samples, cultural archives, everything needed to rebuild humanity from scratch. I don't understand. If the Council had attacked Earth, those ships would have kept going, out beyond Council space, into the dark. And in 200 years, maybe 300, they would have come back, stronger, angrier, ready to finish what the Council started. Doyen paused. So no, we weren't bluffing. We meant every word. The Mindari's black eyes widened. That's terrifying. Yes, Doyen agreed. That was the point. The news spread fast. Within hours, every species in the galaxy knew that humanity had refused the Council's ultimatum, that they'd threatened total war, that the Council had backed down. Reactions varied. Some species celebrated, seeing it as proof that the Council's power was limited. Others worried about what humanity would do next. A few began making plans to establish closer ties with humans, sensing a shift in galactic politics on Earth. Prime Minister Ji-Wan Lee addressed the planet. Today, humanity stood firm. We refused to submit. We refused to hide. And we survived. But make no mistake, we are not out of danger. The Council will watch us closely. Any mistake could reignite this conflict. We must be careful. We must be smart. But we will remain free. The celebration lasted 3 days. Then reality set in. Humanity had won a political victory. But they were still surrounded by species that outnumbered them. Still technologically inferior in many ways. Still new to the galaxy. What do we do now? Hana asked Doyen as they stood on the observation deck of their ship, watching Earth rotate below. We prove them right to fear us, Doyen said. We innovate, we grow. We become so valuable as allies and so dangerous as enemies that no one will threaten us again. That's a long game. Humanity's good at long games. We've been playing them for thousands of years. 6 months after humanity said no to the Galactic Council, the galaxy looked different. Doyen stood in his new office on Geneva Station, a massive orbital platform that served as humanity's diplomatic headquarters. Through the window he could see Earth below, blue and green and perfect. Beyond it, construction crews worked on new defense platforms. Humanity wasn't taking chances. His new title was Secretary of External Defense. It sounded better than the person who threatened the entire galaxy, but that's basically what it meant. Every species knew his face now. Some admired him. Others hated him. Most were just cautious around him. Secretary Kim, his assistant, called. "The Minari delegation is here." Doyen straightened his uniform. The Minari were a small species that had voted against the Council's ultimatum. They'd reached out 3 months ago about establishing formal diplomatic relations. This would be the first treaty humanity signed after the crisis. The negotiations went smoothly. The Minari wanted access to human medical technology. Humanity wanted access to their agricultural techniques. Fair trade, no domination, no submission. Just two species working together. When the treaty was signed, the Minari ambassador said something interesting. "3 other species are watching this. If it goes well, they'll contact you too." "Species that were in the council?" Doyen asked. "Yes, smaller ones. Ones that are tired of being controlled." Doyen filed that information away. The council wasn't falling apart, but it was changing, and humanity had started that change. On Mars, General Hanna Park walked through the new military complex. It was 3 times larger than the old one. Construction had started the day after the council backed down. If there was ever another threat, Mars would be ready. "General," Colonel Tae-hyung saluted as she approached. "The new defense grid is operational. We've also completed the underground bunker system." "Good. What about recruitment?" "Up 40%. Everyone wants to serve now. We turned away more applicants than we accepted." Hanna looked at the young soldiers training in the yard. They were practicing combat in low gravity, learning how to fight in environments that would kill most species. "How are they?" she asked. "Motivated," Tae-hyung said. "They grew up with the crisis. They saw how close we came to war. They want to make sure it never happens again, or they want to be ready if it does." That too. Hanna had been promoted after the crisis. The military had tripled in size. New ships were being built. New weapons developed. Humanity had won peace through the threat of violence. Now they had to maintain that peace the same way. "The council is watching us," Hanna said. "Every move we make. Any mistake could restart the conflict." "Then we won't make mistakes," Tae-hyung said simply. In his laboratory beneath Geneva, Dr. Minho Choi was working on something different. Not weapons, not defenses, understanding. He'd established the Institute for Species Understanding 6 months ago. The goal was simple: figure out why humanity was different, why other species found them so terrifying. "It's the evolutionary pressure," he explained to a group of students. "Earth is a death world. Statistically, it has more natural disasters, more predators, more diseases than 90% of inhabited planets. We evolved to survive the unsurvivable. That changed us." A student raised her hand. "Is that why we're more aggressive?" "We're not more aggressive," Minho corrected. "We're more adaptable. We don't have natural armor like the Kralix. We don't have telepathy like the Mindari. We don't have superior strength like most species. What we have is the ability to adapt, to innovate, to do whatever is necessary to survive." "And that scares them?" "Yes, because it means we're unpredictable. Most species evolved with clear limitations. They know what they can and can't do. Humans don't have those limitations. We'll try anything. We'll adapt to anything. That makes us dangerous." Another student asked, "But is it bad to be dangerous?" Minho thought about that. "No, being dangerous kept us alive. It gave us the strength to say no when the council demanded submission. The question now is, can we be dangerous without being destructive?" That was the real question. The one everyone was trying to answer. 3 months after the crisis, a small council species called the Torvex declared independence. They didn't want council oversight anymore. The council sent ships to bring them back into line. The Torvex sent one message. Humanity said no. So can we. The council backed down. They couldn't afford to look weak again so soon after the human crisis. 2 more species followed. Then 3 more. The council wasn't collapsing, but it was transforming. From a governing body to more of a voluntary alliance. Species that wanted protection and structure could stay. Species that wanted independence could leave. And humanity had started it all with one word. On Europa, teacher Minji Bei told her students about what had happened. They were older now. 8 years old instead of 7. Old enough to understand. Why did the aliens want to control us? A boy asked. Because they were afraid, Minji said. And when people are afraid, they sometimes try to control the things that scare them. But we're not scary, a girl protested. We can be, Minji admitted. Humans can be kind. We can be generous. We can be loving. But we can also be dangerous when threatened. The aliens saw the dangerous part and forgot about the kind part. What changed their minds? They realized that controlling us would cost more than leaving us alone. Sometimes peace isn't about being nice. It's about being too expensive to fight. The children thought about that. It was a hard lesson. But they were growing up in a harder galaxy. Somewhere in unexplored space, the colony ships that Doyon had mentioned to the Mindari continued their journey. Most people had forgotten about them. Doyon hadn't. Once a month, he received an encrypted message confirming they were still traveling. Still safe. Still human. They were insurance. If the galaxy ever turned against humanity completely, those ships would survive. They would rebuild. And in a few centuries, they would return. Doyon hoped it would never come to that. But he was glad the option existed. On Crossroads Station, Intelligence Officer Jiho Nam continued gathering information. The crisis might be over, but intelligence work never stopped. What are the Council's current plans regarding humanity? He asked a source over drinks. They're being cautious, the source said. No one wants another confrontation. But they're also watching everything humans do. Any sign of aggression and there will be consequences. Define aggression. That's the problem. No one knows. Some council members think human exploration is aggressive. Others think it's just natural expansion. There's no consensus. Jiho reported this back to Earth. The situation was stable but fragile. Humanity had to be careful, not weak. Just careful. A year after the crisis, humanity opened its first embassy on a neutral world. Ambassador Doyon wasn't chosen to run it. Instead, a younger diplomat named Quan Su was appointed. He was smart, cautious, and most importantly hadn't threatened to burn the galaxy. Your reputation makes you valuable, Prime Minister Jiwan told Doyon. But it also makes you diplomatic poison. Some species will never trust the man who threatened total war. I understand, Doyon said. He wasn't offended. He'd known this would happen. That's why I want you here as secretary, behind the scenes, making the hard decisions so others can make the friendly speeches. The bad cop, Doyon said. The necessary cop, Ji-won corrected. Doyon's daughter, Sarah, graduated from university and joined the diplomatic corps. She was assigned to the Mindari embassy. Her first message home was excited. Dad, they're amazing. They communicate through telepathy, but they're learning to understand human verbal communication better. They want to understand us. They're not afraid. They're curious. Doyon smiled reading the message. That was the future. Not fear, curiosity, understanding. But he kept his sidearm loaded anyway, just in case. 2 years after the crisis, the Council formally restructured. They were now the Galactic Assembly. Membership was voluntary. Decisions required consensus rather than majority vote. It was weaker than the old Council. But it was also more stable. Humanity was invited to join. Doyon attended the assembly to deliver humanity's response. We appreciate the invitation, he said, but humanity chooses to remain independent. We will work with the assembly. We will honor its decisions when they're reasonable. But we will not submit to its authority. We've already said no once. Our answer hasn't changed. Some species were offended. Others understood. The assembly accepted humanity's position. What choice did they have? 5 years after the crisis, engineer Yuna Kwan completed her greatest project. A massive space station on the edge of human territory. It was half military base, half trading post. A place where humans and aliens could meet, trade, talk, build relationships. What should we call it? Someone asked at the dedication ceremony. Yuna smiled. Gateway. Because it's the gateway to understanding. The station became a success. Species that were nervous about visiting Earth could come to Gateway instead. Trade flourished. Friendships formed. Slowly, carefully, humanity was becoming part of the galactic community, but on their own terms, always on their own terms. 10 years after the crisis, Dr. Minho published his final paper. It was titled, The Freedom Paradox: Why Humanity's Independence Strengthened the Galaxy. The conclusion was simple. By refusing to submit, humanity had shown other species that submission wasn't necessary. that freedom was possible,